Welcome to the Human CMO, a conversational interview style show that humanizes leadership at the highest level of modern marketing and business. I'm Katie Kuperman, co-host and 6-time published author, illustrator, and speaker, and book coach, who helps leaders turn meaningful ideas into powerful books and conversations.
Hi, and I'm Natalia, marketing leader, consultant, and a co-host of the Human CMO. I've spent over a decade helping brands and CMOs navigate growth, pressure, and strategy, and now I'm focused on creating honest conversations about leadership, what leadership really looks like behind the title. Today, we're so excited to have Jason Berkowitz with us. Jason founded Break the Web in 2010. His company helps in-house marketing teams of D2C and B2C brands make SEO more measurable, accessible, and in his words, less boring.
All right, let's dive right in. So to begin, Jason, we'd like to ask you, where are you calling in from and what is in your cup today?
Well, thank you guys for having me. I guess I can start with in my cup. It is not wine because at the time right now it's 10 a.m. I mean, what kind of professional would I be if I'm just casually drinking wine on meetings and calls? But I have coffee today and I'm coming in from, at the moment, Southern California.
Awesome. Let's do a cheers before we begin. Cheers, everybody.
Got the wine glass, but it's water as well.
So white wine.
Yes. All right, white wine, because it's, already 1 p.m. in Mexico.
Over to you, Nat.
Jason, we know that the bulk of your clients are CMOs, and you are a founder and a CEO. When people hear these high-level titles, what do you think they assume that doesn't match reality?
I think the C level is quite funny when I don't consider myself a CEO. My co-leader considers me a CEO. I find, again, the title and the C-suite for smaller organizations to be an interesting one. I think there's probably a social aspect in it, like a society aspect of small organizations having C-suites. But I see when we work with clients that are larger in size and they have CMOs, CEOs, CFOs, and a full suite, that tells me that they have things put together. But the reality is maybe they don't always. I think most organizations are kind of faking it until they make it or just trying to figure things out as they go along. But the CMOs that we see specifically, they tend to know the different moving pieces related to aspects of marketing, the people required, what's involved. So when we hear CMO, we usually know that there's a stakeholder there and a decision maker that knows marketing.
And what do people rarely see about how your job really works?
In the SEO world, there used to be this meme that would say, what society thinks I do, what my mother thinks I do, what I'm really doing. And what I'm really doing is just kind of like laying on the chair like this. It was a South Park character. I think there's a lot of data, time, analysis, and I think the most important part is patience. The world of SEO, we're kind of reliant on algorithms to hopefully do its job right. And oftentimes they don't. But to see, it's not unlike paid and other marketing verticals, you can see some instant gratification a little bit earlier. SEO can take anywhere from a few weeks just to see a little bit of movement from one input that was made on the website, sometimes sooner. So I think the patience is kind of the biggest one where you kind of have to focus on other things, try not to be impulsive. It's easy to look at something after a few days and say, oh, that didn't work. Let's shift gears. Where instead, take a step back and hold on. So I think that's kind of the one that people don't really see too much in the world of SEO.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I've been involved in SEO in all different kinds of ways over the years. And one thing I have found is just how much it has changed. When I first started doing SEO on my business back in 2009, it was just about writing great content and using keywords and then putting up your website. And you climb to the top of the search engines. So tell us a little bit about how that has changed over the years. I don't think anybody's climbing up that fast just by putting a few keywords. There's just so much competition out there.
Yeah, the nostalgia of the good old days where rankings were very fast. And I mean, it's a good thing that it's not the same way because there was a lot of spam that would drive the internet. There's a lot of spam that worked. I mean, there's probably still a level of spam that can still work today, but we like to think that the algorithms have gotten more sophisticated. Google specifically, I'm not talking about AI platforms, but Google has done a better job at understanding context, word pairings together, sentences, thematic understanding of an entire paragraph, and then the entire article, then the entire website. So again, the old days of, keyword stuffing, throwing in the keywords, putting it in bold, just writing it a million times on the page, that's long gone. Where now, interestingly enough, we're actually agreeing with what Google is suggesting in this instance, but making the content more user focused. So if you can answer the question to what the user is looking for in 2 paragraphs, do it. Doesn't mean the content's thin or the content's low quality, but you can match the intent. It's the old school way of, you might remember, like recipes online. You want a chicken parmesan recipe, but first let me tell you about how this chicken parmesan recipe was passed down from generation to generation. When I just want to know what ingredients I need to buy, what temperature to put the oven to. So that's kind of shifted in a good way. And it's about more user focused, how you can answer the question as best as possible, as clear as possible, maybe with the supporting content below. But just getting really, really clear on what the page is about, who you serve, how it helps, has been kind of the biggest change versus just old traditional keyword stuffing.
Do you think that goes along with how people seem to have less and less time as well? And it's just that psychology of, I need it quick, I need it faster, because we've created that sort of expectations now with the convenience of everything.
I think that's absolutely a great point. Whether that is one of the reasons, along with just technology getting better and more understanding a little bit, but it very well could be. I mean, think of AI overviews and Google search results. ChatGPT, people are looking for quick information. I think the attention span on us, especially with devices, has gone down tremendously. So that very well could be a reason. Whether that's good or bad, I mean, I still think there's a quality issue with, AI overviews and even just AI in general still, where you don't really know if the answer is accurate, which again could be said about just content to begin with. But there might be something there about just attention spans being lower and people just, I need that instant gratification, that dopamine hit as quickly as possible. Give it to me now.
Right. And, further to that and how SEO has changed over the years and your work has changed, is there anything that feels heavier or lighter about your role now versus 10, 20 years ago?
Both. I think there's aspects that are definitely heavier, and the heavier aspect actually comes down to the expectation setting of what's possible, what's realistic, especially now with AI noise, whether that's actually going to be a thing that is going to have widespread consumer adoption, which is still yet to be determined, as well as the fact that the landscape is just changing every week. New updates, stock prices, acquisitions, all these different things. So that definitely feels heavier. On the lighter side, though, execution is kind of easier than ever. We're not taking away critical thinking or brain power, but it's kind of the mundane tasks and the sifting through data and maybe spreadsheets and things that would sometimes take, even our team, 2 hours to do. It's been cut down to 5 minutes with automations, AI. And yeah, that's the things that make definitely feel lighter. Where I've even been able to build tools to help with various different aspects of identification analysis, that a little bit of time building the tool has just made it way easier for myself, for my team, just to get things done. So definitely a twofold there. Heavier with noise, lighter with execution.
I like that, because that's so many things in life if you think about it, right? As change comes in or things evolve, there's always some kind of balance. Like some things might be easier, some things might be harder. I think that's reality in a lot of cases. Is there something about your job that you feel something about you personally is demanded from this job? Not the professional side, but on the personal side.
I think mentality is probably the biggest one. My job, I run a company. I also do SEO. I think the mentality, which I like to say I've had since I was a kid, was adapt and evolve and never stop hustling in a way. So again, with the world constantly changing professionally, but also personally, just understanding that things change over time. The swiftness to adapt and evolve is definitely something that I try to keep top of mind and also relay to the organization, because lead by example, right? So that's one aspect. I would say, yeah, it's probably the mentality and the hustle and the grind and the hunger is definitely something that I have both personally and professionally, which hopefully, keeps things motivated internally with our team. They can see that hunger, the drive. I like to say I'm the hardest working person in the organization. And not saying everyone needs to work as hard as me, but we're still working towards a goal that we have. So my business is personal. I mean, I run the business and I'm always thinking about the business, even when I'm supposed to be out to dinner with my wife, but I'm still kind of thinking about things. So, yeah.
I can fully relate to that.
Yeah. I was going to just say, like, I think that's where the Hungarians and Polish are known for, is just having the life ambition, the career ambition. We're always just, that's our reputation. We just, like, want to keep going.
We have no other option. If we stop
Yeah.
hustling, grinding, then what happens? And that's scary.
People invade us.
Do Italians and Lithuanians fall into this bucket? There's part of my background.
Oh, Lithuanians. Yeah. They're on that same side.
Yeah.
So Jason, before we keep going, we want to pause and like give you some space to like just, I guess, like share a little bit more, like besides us asking all these questions. There's usually something founders care deeply about that doesn't fit neatly into interviews. So what is that for you right now?
Is it personal or professional?
Anything.
Either one.
That's why I'm giving you some space.
I don't know if this is cliche or not. I care a lot about my team and their well-being. We have our set of core values, which I used to think core values were one thing. And then I brought in a co-leader that's like, no, those are the things that annoy you that you don't want the team to do. And she's been able to enhance our core values as an organization and make them even better. But one of them used to kind of be related to the aspect of work-life balance. We don't need to get into the debate of unlimited PTO and those type of things, because I think there's rights and wrongs to it, totally. But very much, I want the team to do great work and feel accomplished by the work that they do when they're working. And then when they leave Slack or they go offline, they can go and do the other things. Life is awesome. There's a lot of things to go around where we have information accessible in all different aspects. Let's enjoy it. We have team members that love traveling. I think maybe half our team is actually traveling as we speak. So taking the work-life balance, making them work a little bit easier. If you overwork people, they're not going to be happy. They're going to resent you. They're going to hate the work. That'll translate into the work as well. So I think I definitely care, and that's a really big priority for me, which I can say it to the team, but it's so cliche that's like, oh, we're one big family. But definitely their well-being. And, I always ask the question during one-on-ones, like, how would you rate your work-life balance on a scale of 1 to 10? And if it's anything lower than a 9, or usually I'm asking, what would it take to bring that to a 9 or a 10?
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. And I think just by your actions or, as a founder and as someone running the company, if you're allowing people during different times of year or whenever they want to go travel and work are they working while they're traveling, or they're just completely off the grid?
It's really funny you mentioned that, but kind of both. Some are saying, I'm going to travel, but I don't need to take off work. I can do a couple of hours of work here, go do whatever sightseeing I want to do, attend the festival, come back later, finish up a couple more hours. And there might be some that like, hey, I need to shut off. And like time of this recording, as we mentioned right before, I just got back from being off the grid for the first time in years, like no email, no phone. And I initially had the concept, which I said to my co-leader, Mila, hey, if I'll keep an eye on emails, if anything comes in, I'll just forward it to you. She's like, yo, no, practice what you preach, lead by example. And it was amazing. Like even myself just taking a week off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
That is so, so great. And there's so much value in that of just really disconnecting. I can't really remember the last time I did that, but it's definitely on my bucket list to be able to just completely not check it. My husband and I make jokes about, one day just going on a vacation, but like there are no phones. The phone is not even there for you to grab or check in with someone. I don't know how feasible that really is, but I mean, the concept of it, I think is refreshing. And I think especially now that we have so much dependence on our devices, just naturally speaking, because of the world that we live in, it is really important to do that. So I love that you let your team members go, and not only let them go, but if they want to work, work. And if they don't want to work, okay, we'll see you in a few weeks or whenever it is. I think that's awesome.
Thank you. And definitely possible. Again, it's not easy, and you have to do a little bit of work to set up for that and make sure everything is good. Like for us with our clients, making sure that they're aware that any immediate questions, ask now. But also it's like the reminder of, I mean, for us, we're just doing marketing. We're not saving lives or saving the world. It's just marketing at the end of the day. We can go away for a week or two, and everything will be just fine.
Mm-hmm. So
That's
I
really
find
good.
a lot of people I meet here in Tulum work with companies and have that set up right. Maybe a few not so well, but the majority, yes. I mean, that's why they're able to be here and to, you know, go to the beach for a few hours, come back and finish what they're doing, and they have understanding managers or leaders. And but you see overall, it's just they're happy with what they're doing, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day, because then they perform better, as you said.
Yeah, there's definitely something about like the digital nomad lifestyle to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And overall satisfaction in your work, your day to day, but also your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. What would you say is one standout thing that your roles as a business leader have taught you over the years?
Expect the unexpected. Shit's always going to happen. There's always going to be something. And just when you think you're having a really good week, of like, hey, no fires or nothing unexpected, like this is going to be the most predictable week ever. There's always something that happens, whether it's Google, ChatGPT, a client, a team member, the economy, whatever it is. Something very well. Sometimes there's things within our control, but there's also those uncontrollables that might happen. And being a leader in business, whether you own it or even just an executive or in C-suite, you kind of have to get used to the emotional roller coaster that is our world, because the highs are so awesome. They're so amazing. You feel on top of the world, but they get negated sometimes by the lows, which also just get you down. Sometimes there's imposter syndrome that goes along with it. And you're like, why am I doing this to myself? You know, maybe I should just get a full-time job somewhere. I think that's the biggest one. The lesson is that you have to expect that unexpected things might happen. Try to follow like NBD, no big deal, and just go along with it.
I totally agree and can relate to that on so many different levels. Is there something, you know, further to that thought? Is there something that you had to unlearn or unteach yourself through the years in relation to what you just said?
Yeah. That I am not always the best person to do everything. I think especially when you're small and you're a founder or you're solo as a freelancer, you tend to wear many hats. You take on everything. There comes a point where you just can't take on anything else, but also the quality of your outputs from the things that you have ownership over start to suffer. And there's the need to delegate and assign it to whatever task it might be, whether it's finance, payroll, marketing, research, whatever it is, to someone who can dedicate full time into that area. And that can be starting small with a VA, an assistant, an intern from college. You know, there's all these different routes that people can take. Delegation and the fact that I can't do everything as good as I think I can, and I shouldn't have to as well, was one that very, very early on, thankfully I have a great business mentor that helped me get out of that mindset of like, you're wasting your time, dude. Like, stop doing that. You're doing it half-assed anyways. Better just, you know, delegate it to somebody else. And then I think also measurements of success. This was something that even just going off the grid for a week, you know, I had a post that went up on LinkedIn when I came back about it, because in our world, or I think just in business in general, there's all these vanity metrics that could potentially be defined as measurements of success. Employee headcount, revenue, location. Again, and then that can go into like the car you drive, the house you live, the area you live in. At the end of the day, do those really matter? And maybe for some people they do. For other people, you know, you talk about employee headcount. Okay, Is everyone being fully utilized to their full capacity? How's bandwidth? Revenue. Okay, revenue is cool, but what about profit? And then we start talking about aspects of work-life balance. And some of the reflection I had last week was I feel comfortable taking a week off. That's a really good measurement of success. The fact that a lot of people can't, or they're nervous to. That I've worked for years, always bringing my laptop with every vacation I went on. Being able to take that and changing that mindset, I think, was one that I had to unlearn. I grew up in New York City, where everything is very vanity based, and I always felt weird that I was always work from home since 2010. I just didn't want to go into an office. I'm kind of like an introvert. I want to just stay home. But then there's a social thing of the social vanity thing. How big is your office? Where is your office located? On what street? What floor? That it's hard. It's hard sometimes, especially when you're young.
Mm-hmm. What would you say has changed you the most as your responsibility has grown, both as a leader and a founder?
I think a few things. Sorry, Riverside. A few things, actually. I think one, having a business mentor. I think we all get in our heads that we know everything. We know all the answers. We know what the best next step is, but we don't. Very early on, I was always a big fan. Even learning SEO, I couldn't afford any like training programs, courses, or anything. So I found a mentor that could help me. I bartered with him because I couldn't even afford him. But having people that can help guide you is one of the big ones, and telling you what's wrong and what your next step should be. Not what you think emotionally what it should be, but here objectively what the next step should be. And also having a co-leader. We've had, her name is Mila. She's now our VP of agency operations. Having someone to bounce the day-to-day ideas off of, and also tell me clearly what's working and what isn't in the business, and being able to hear that, accept the feedback, and adapt. Be swift to that, I think, were some of the biggest standout moments.
When you're talking about, back to what you were saying about measurements of success and what it is for different people, have you felt those pressures at different times of your life? And did you feel as though as you get older, you maybe care less about those vanity metrics, as you call them? I really like that term, by the way. Do you think it's a product of getting older and just realizing what really matters? Or is it separating yourself from what's going on around you, or just realizing and getting better acquainted with yourself and what really matters to you?
I think both. Growing up in New York City, and people who grew up in any big metro city might have the same feeling again of that comparative mindset, especially like with social media and things. People post this, they post revenue number, business success, headcount. Look at our new office with our big logo on it. And then you can often ask yourself, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this what society has put upon me? Is this what I'm like? Am I following the right path? I think it's just very noisy. And over time, especially if you don't hit those metrics, that can be very defeating. And there were many times where I didn't hit those vanity metrics of success, according to business folks that were my age in New York City. Like, am I not successful? Am I not doing well? And I think just a lot of that, like you mentioned, personal work on my mental state, mental health, my mentality, my outlook on things helped shift it into like fuck all that. Like, what do I need? What do I care about the most? What does the next 10 years look like for me personally? What does my day-to-day look like? It's not me going to an office wearing a suit. So why do I even care about having an office? I don't need the best car. I can't even. I'm a big dude. I can't even fit in like luxury sports cars. So like I don't need that. So I think just realignment and seeing again, which I think definitely comes with age. You're more attuned to the shinier things the younger you are. And then as you get older, comes, I guess, wisdom about what's really important. And then you can shift and adapt your work to be more attuned to what you want in life. So
and kind of constantly redefining that what is success. And then I like how that almost tied into what you were talking about as having a mentor or having someone to look up to, because I felt like a lot of times through my entire career as an entrepreneur, I've been doing everything for the most part on my own. And now I feel like I'm in the next phase of my career where I've realized if I had someone to coach me through all the things that I've done, it likely would have been better. So now I want to do that for other people. So I'm still looking for my own mentor, but now I'm going into like a coaching space now of how can I use everything that I've learned to then help other people so they don't have to go it alone.
I think that's really good. It's cool how it goes full circle, and it's the natural inclination to reciprocate that value way. Because you were there, you know what it's like to not know what's next.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned, you tied right into my next question, actually, because the next question is, what do you think marketing and business leadership is going to look like 10, 20, 30 years down the road? But I'm going to put a caveat onto that question by saying, you said you had to redefine success and what you wanted for your own life, like what you want your life to look like in 10 years. So I want you to kind of answer almost the personal side and then what you kind of see for the industry right now too.
I think it's kind of one and the same. As someone that has to stay busy, there's always something I have to do. I can't just like chill on the couch for maybe for a day or two max. But then I just I get anxious. I got to go do something. There's going to be a world where you have the critical thinkers up at the top and kind of like a mind map or a diagram of sorts. And I think, and I hope technology comes to a point where below that critical thinker, there's like the true AI agents, the true AI assistants that could take the mundane of things off of your plate. And that could also be on the personal side, booking appointments, scheduling whatever it is, calling this person. In the marketing world, we're already kind of seeing that to a degree where people are leveraging automations and AI a bit more to help with the mundane tasks. The problem is, and the hard part is, it does impact entry-level folks. And how can they get past entry-level if they're being replaced by these automations, which it's a hard position to be in. It really sucks. But most brands and businesses, while they may want to support their team, they're going to be looking at trying to simplify the organization structure, get as little people as possible in the hands. It's just better for profit, less noise, less stakeholders, less conflicts. So there's going to be a world, like in all different facets of marketing, where the thought leader, the critical thinker, the expert, the true SME is right up at the top, and right below there might be different assistants and automations that help them. And again, that could also come at different levels too. There might be someone who's a bit more junior that also has the same flow of AI agents right below them. And personal.
I'm going to throw in one more question before we wrap it up. Just out of curiosity, I guess you kind of answered or alluded to maybe why you chose this path that you're on now. But if there was at any point, and maybe there was an option to become a CMO of a company, would you have considered it? Did you consider it? What's sort of your take on that versus what you're doing now?
I never actually thought I'd be in marketing. I went to school for physical therapy. I got into SEO because I was a personal trainer in New York City at a commercial gym. I was like seeing how much the gym was taking from me in terms of like the overall percentage of my hourly rate. I was like, man, if I can charge even a little bit less and collect 100% of it, I'm good. So it started with how can I, people are typing in personal trainer NYC. People are typing in personal trainer Tribeca, group classes Tribeca, New York. How can I be there? And then I was like, SEO is awesome. Forget fitness training and physical therapy. And that's kind of how it segued. And then over the years, I have thought about, should I become a T-shaped marketer? Start learning paid, email, creative. And then the question of, can I spend all my time just really honing in only on SEO and be as best as I can on SEO, or branch out? Where is that going to take me? It's become actually like a very interesting passion. I was always into like puzzles and figuring things out. I was very much always into tech. I was building websites on GeoCities when I was a kid. I think I was like 11 or 12 years old. So it kind of all made sense to be in this field, in this area. But I really just love the passion of SEO and just figuring it out. Like, this is horrible to say, but sometimes when things don't work out from an SEO standpoint, I love it, because then I get to put on my glasses and dive deep into the data and just try to figure out. And then I get to connect with other people in my industry that I have great collaborations with. Like, what do you guys think? What about this? Oh no, but this is set up. And then we think that Google will do this. So I have thought about it, but unfortunately, I just love the SEO world. And I think even just from a service standpoint, kind of like an SEO agency versus a full service agency, can you really be good at everything? So.
Yeah. And so what's one thing I'll say, just to finish it off, what's one thing that you're genuinely excited about outside of work? Because we know now that you're excited about the SEO, outside of SEO.
Oh, God, that's a hard one. I'm excited. I mean, it is outside of work. I'm excited for 2026 being able to focus on my work-life balance. It's always been deprioritized. And again, just I don't mean to keep harping on it, but taking that week off the grid has gave me an entirely new outlook, which I'm already planning to do it again. Definitely a yearly thing. Definitely. And we have a vacation coming up as well in May. Would love to do that, the same thing, even for at least a couple of days. I'm excited about getting the agency to a point where I feel more freedom in doing those type of things and taking time for myself. So I know it's not business is personal.
No, but it is. I get it. It definitely is. It has to do with the business, but by growing the business and creating that fundamental team so that you feel I can do this for me is something you definitely deserve and should do. I think that's good. And that's definitely on the personal side. So that was good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, clearly, Jason, you really love what you do, and that's really important in this life. So we thank you so much for being with us today, and that's a wrap. And thank you for getting real.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Natalia.
Thank you.